Great day, everyone. Welcome to AstroTea. This is your weekly astro forecast that we host on Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, 3 p.m. BST to take a closer look at the transits and cosmic energy of the week ahead. So go ahead and join the Astro fam here and stay connected because there's so much more to come. The 2023 to 2024 astrological calendar is going to be your bestie for the new astrological year of zodiac signs, and so this is broken up into zodiac seasons instead of the Gregorian calendar months. You want to get this calendar now. We've already started and kicked off the astrological new year, and we're so happy with everyone that has given us such positive raving feedback about the calendar so far. This has all of your major planetary transits, new and full moon dates, your chakras, body parts, and the tarot. So if you haven't already, go ahead and look to purchase your astrological calendar as well as your copy of the AstroTea journal. Just click the link at the top of the room to get all the exclusive tea and also join our email list. What else do we have, Soul?
Yeah, if you're joining us for the first time, we're going to run through the transits of the upcoming week, both from the perspective of astrology, and then Empress is going to give us the tarot interpretation of that energy as well. And then we'll have a conversation at the end to talk about anything that really stood out to you. We have the full moon coming up this week. We got Venus going into Cancer, Pluto going retrograde. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So anything that stands out, feel free to put a comment in the room chat, or you can come and join us at the end on stage to have a conversation about how this energy is showing up in your life. So we're going to start with tomorrow, May 1st. April is officially over. It went by very quickly. It was very transformative period of time, but also kind of swiftly was here one moment and then gone the next. So tomorrow is Monday, May 1st, and we have Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So just as a reminder, Pluto first went into Aquarius on March 23rd, and it's going to be retrograde until October 10th. So this is usually the cycle of retrograde that Pluto does, where it'll be retrograde for 5-6 months at a time. So it's going to be retrograde until October 10th. And while it is moving in that retrograde motion, on June 11th, it will go back and re-enter Capricorn, which it just emerged out of on March 23rd, where it's been for quite some time, since 2008. So we're going to be dipping back into the final degrees of Capricorn before it goes back on a direct path on October 10th. So during this time of Pluto not only regressing through the first few minutes of 0 degrees Aquarius that it's gone through for the past month or so, but also dipping back into Capricorn, we have the opportunity to sort through any conflict pertaining to the role or roles that we play in bringing about wide-scale change and innovation, or to confront the part of ourselves that is resistant to and avoiding change as well. And it's a chance for us to get to see what unique skill sets, what abilities, what assets, what information, what knowledge we have, and we're able to bring to groups and collective movements. And as a whole, as a group, collectively, we'll be continuing to have conversations about the advancement of technology and its implications for humanity. So for example, even something that we can see in recent months, some people have really embraced AI and things like ChatGPT, right? And understand its power to create efficient systems and automations, while others have been focusing more on how this rapid growth of technology can pose a threat to job security. So we can see that kind of push and pull about these advancements that are happening regardless. What are the implications on humanity? Do we see that as positive and we have a desire to progress that forward, or do we see that as something that could be detrimental to humanity and are trying to resist those changes and those automations? So when Pluto dips back into Capricorn on June 11th, then we'll get to see how much we've personally and collectively change and transform within the short time that Pluto has been in Aquarius. And we'll observe that we relate differently to Capricorn concepts of authority, pragmatism, responsibility, and legacy building. Some of us are going to realize that if we haven't already, as Pluto traversed through Capricorn for the first time during that long-term transit, that the pillars of these systems are outdated and cannot be the infrastructure that supports us in progressing as a society that is empowered to what? Mobilize, organize, to rely on each other for resources, to provide and cultivate a sense of community, right? That wasn't really the system that we're emerging from. So ultimately, we're going to see exposure, transformation, and a slow shift away from authoritarian to more egalitarian systems of power and procedure. So definitely make sure to take a look at what house Pluto's in your chart to get more detail about what specific area or areas of your life will be under the magnifying glass during this transformative transit of Pluto retrograde. So that's what I have for Monday. What's your take on this, Empress?
Yes, when you just said that about how we are embracing technology within the collective, like with ChatGPT and AI in general, it also brings up the transformational costs of those decisions, whether we want to incorporate more technology into our lives, like you said, with jobs, but then it's also the transformational cost of now that AI is incorporated in this job structure, now my job is in jeopardy, right? Now I may not have a job. So the transformational costs of those decisions when it comes to us upgrading ourselves technologically within society and the collective. So I really love that you mentioned that. That's such a big theme for Pluto in general in Aquarius, but definitely with this retrograde season that we're coming into. So for Monday, we are literally like, what a way to dive into the week, right? Pluto retrograde in Aquarius in the tarot is the Judgment card in reverse and the Star and King of Swords energy. So literally, what a way to dive into this week with this moon day, literally with this deep plunge that we're all taking as a collective into the source of electricity. Like literally, we're getting into what is the source of electricity within us that supplies energy and power to the way that we connect to spirit, right? The way that we realize how our connection to God is the connection that you also have when it comes to the community, right? Because we're all connected at the end of the day. We have individuality, but we all have that base energetic connection, right? So that connection you have with spirit is also mimics the connection that you have with other people in the collective. And for some of us, this retrograde is really about realizing that your lack of connection to the collective is because you lack a connection to your higher self. And that also means there's a lack of creativity that you may be experiencing in your life, a lack of uniqueness, a lack of vision, a lack of dreams that you're experiencing in your life at this time due to that lack of connection, that lack of power to that source. And so this lack of electricity in your life is because you haven't paid your spiritual bills. I'm not even joking. I didn't even plan to say that. And then Spirit was like, yeah, because half of these people haven't paid bills, like it's not saying like you have to set up an altar and do things, this specific way. It's that you haven't made an effort to strengthen your connection at all to spirit through whatever spiritual tools, whatever means, whatever self, meditation, breath work, anything, right? That's paying your spiritual bills. And so this is a time of realizing the importance of that connection. And so this is also bringing about an occult investigation, right? As it relates to really uncovering information and knowledge on the internet with Aquarius energy, or in spiritual communities with Aquarius, to find out more information about how to generate, how to use your electricity, your energy responsibly. So it's really a time for us as a planet to really grow up, right? And become more mature in how we handle the power that we have inside of us and how we tap into it, so that we can realize deep sources of transformational power with Pluto in Aquarius, representing Judgment in the reverse in the Star and the King of Swords here in the tarot. And so really be truthful and brutally honest with yourself and others at this time with this King of Swords. I feel like that is important to do. And as long as it is for your transformational good or that person's transformational good, and it can actually support them in their emotional awareness and maturity, yes, it does need to be said. we as a world will also see this revisitation with the retrograde energy, specifically of community efforts that may have been brought up in the past. And we might also see well-known figures in society that will also have that obligation by Pluto to really speak out on those deep sexual, occult, magic, kind of cryptic information that's related to death, right? That some of us are already aware of because we've done that. We've done our own private investigations, I'll say, when the Aquarius energy started to become more predominant throughout the collective, before this publicly is getting revealed at this time now. So this is a time of truth for transformation, right? Truth for transformation. Intentions will be easier to see at this time, and there's a greater energy to boost the occult world for both the higher and lower vibrational forces, right? Whenever we have progression in one energy, we also, with that balance that we'll get into with the moon in Libra, have that in the opposite as well, right? So I'll leave it there for now. We'll definitely get into Pluto retrograde more as we have more transits, but let's go ahead and get into Tuesday. So
I love your take on thinking about it as connection and electricity. It's like we're all on this like shared network, and like, are we a point of strength and like that intense connection, or are we a point of vulnerability because we're not taking accountability for our own energy within this complex system?
Like it really just kind of like gave me a glimpse into how Goddess really feels at times, because if you look at us in terms of a stat, right? If you look at the earth energetically in terms of vibration and frequency, in terms of a stat, compared to some other planets in the universe and the solar system that are also at our same mass and should be on the same level as us, are we doing as good as we could be doing right now? You know, how are we in that stat right now? And I was feeling like it's like we're kind of on the lower end, and that's why we're having such a push. And we have been, as we've been talking about for the past year, right? With us really transforming ourselves so that the entire collective can be transformed. And that takes power, electricity, that emotional awareness, that emotional maturity. So it's really cranking up the heat, guys. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to add. Thank you for saying that. So true.
And absolutely. And I think it really speaks to a theme of this week about how have we lost connection with not only the earth, because I think that's something that is a beautiful like square as Pluto's in Aquarius. For some, a few more years, we have Uranus and Taurus. So it is kind of creating that tension of like the earth is going to keep crying out and calling out to us to reflect on what is our relationship like. Is it bi-directional, or are we just like taking? And then I think this week speaks specifically to like our relationships with others, and I'll get into that for Tuesday, May 2nd, where we have the moon in Libra is trine Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So fresh into the retrograde, Pluto is going to be trine the moon in Libra, which is a fellow air sign. And this is, as a Mars day, is a great day to take action, or at least have a definitive idea of the kinds of relationships that you want to cultivate and align with as you continue to grow and evolve. So when you envision the highest forms of success in your life, what do those intimate one-on-one relationships look like? Whether that's your partner, that's your like romantic partner, your business partners, and venture partners, your clients as well. Like, what is your ideal client? Who is your ideal partner? Who is your ideal partner in business, right? As well, what do they bring to your life? How are you a more well-rounded person, right? How are you kinder, smarter, wittier, right? More centered, more empathetic as a result of having these people actively in your life? Do the quality and the dynamic of your current relationships reflect what you envision for this most abundant, radiant version of yourself? Do you currently have, or does this abundant version of yourself, do they have maybe clearer boundaries or more direct communication? Do they have fair interactions where each person's perspective is considered? And also, what value and support do you bring to the groups that you're a part of as well? Like, what one-to-one healing or reassurance or comfort or knowledge or whatever it is. What skill or what energy do you bring to this larger collective group, right? As these shifts and transformations continue to happen on an Aquarian large scale kind of platform, how are you, that moon in Libra, how are you bringing equity? How are you bringing justice? How are you bringing energy, a fair reciprocity? How are you doing your part? How are you putting yourself in the position to do your best work? And so it's really important to embody that reflection of what we want to call in relationship wise as we continue to move through these transformative transits. If you want people who add value, are you adding value to your friends? Are you supporting their businesses, even in ways that are free, right? Sharing something on social media, attending an event that they have, keeping it real, giving honest feedback and advice. Like, how are you showing up as the expression that you want these relationships to come into your life? And lastly, it's really important for us to talk about the fact that the day that Pluto's retrograde, it makes a trine with another air sign, that I think this is very significant of the South Node will be in Libra starting in July. And I keep talking about this because even though the task at hand is going to be to grow in Aries-like ways, right, to grow to new heights of independence and self-actualization, Libra, which is our relationships, that's what's going to serve as the grounding foundation to nurture and uplift us during the changes and during the initiations that we go through on this Aries self-development journey, which is where the North Node will be. But remember, the South Node, Libra, is going to serve as that foundation. It's going to serve as like what is in our bank, so to speak, right? Like you were saying that for Monday, Empress. Like, what is in our bank in terms of relationships to be able to nurture and support our development as an individual, independent person. So it is very important for us to start to think about the transformative power of relationships throughout Pluto retrograde. And there's another day this week that this theme comes up in a different way. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But for now, that's what I have for Tuesday. So what does this trine between Pluto and the moon look like for you, Empress?
Yes, I love what you said about being able to cultivate relationships and also embodying what we want. That was such an energy that I was picking up as well for this day. So for Tuesday, this is going to be May 2nd, and we're literally getting into the moon in Libra, which is trine Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. In the tarot, this is the High Priestess in Justice and the Queen of Swords energy, trining Judgment in the reverse in the Star and King of Swords energy. And as soon as I put the cards out on my table, and I looked at the energy in the tarot, it was giving like that TikTok, that voiceover where they're like, immediately no, immediately no, immediately no. Like, it was that type of energy. Like, this is not going to work. We have to do better, kind of energy as well when I looked at these cards, especially looking at this Justice card. So after Pluto retrograde yesterday, the High Priestess, which is the moon, is showing instant solidarity with Judgment retrograde, which is Pluto. The moon is instantly linking up with Pluto the day after it goes retrograde, like, yep, I'm on that same type of deep transformative energy as well. That's what I've been doing every time I'm rotating through the entire zodiac wheel. I'm getting people to work on these and do reflection and go deep and reveal certain secrets and hidden truths, right? And so this alliance, this trine that's happening in these air energies, I love what you mentioned, Sol, about this prepping us for the North Node, South Node shift into Aries Libra, because that's what it felt like, is like the moon and Pluto are like, yep, we're on this train. This is what this is our mission that we're working on together, and that we direct our attention to what is and what is not working, and basically making us choose. If it's not working, you need to get rid of it. If it is working, figure out how you can elevate it and make it even better, right? The example I was getting at the time is when you're cleaning your closet out and you have those piles that you make where you're keeping you're giving away, and then you might have like a third pile that's like, I'm not sure yet, right? When it comes time for you to go through that pile of I'm not sure yet, some of the stuff that you actually want to hold on to, when you know God good and well it's time for you to let go of it, right? And instead you're just saying, oh, I'm gonna keep it, right? Instead of just committing to giving it away and releasing it, you're trying to go back and forth, like the scales are like constantly trying to juggle and balance, right? Instead of just saying, nope, I need to commit to this. It's not working. I haven't worn this in my wardrobe for like 6 months now. My boobs got bigger. I got a boob, whatever. It's not gonna work. We have to commit to being able to say, this is something I'm going to move on for. Some of us, that was another thing I got. It's like some of us want to be in the middle of the actual scale instead of on one of the sides of the scale, right? Some of us like to stand in the middle part of the scale instead of making a choice, which we'll get into for Friday and Saturday this week, which is what I think one of the transits you may have been referring to as well. So, because we have the 7 of Cups with the moon in Scorpio happening on Friday and Saturday. So it's going to bring up our inability to make decisions, especially when it comes to the emotional front. And then Libra is talking about relationships, right? So we can't be that person that's just standing in the middle of the scale. We have to choose a side at times, if it is working, if it's not working. And Pluto and the moon on this day are trining and coming together to really show you some tough love, okay? This trine is calling you and everybody that you're in social interactions and relationships with out today. Everybody's getting called out today. You may see the maturest squabble you ever seen in your whole life today while you're out, okay? Or you yourself may put someone in their place in a sexy but professionally eloquent way today, right? And be like, damn, she told me off, but why am I having these feelings bubbling up for my digestive system? Like, why is she making me feel this way when she just told me about myself? Like, why is this turning me on, Libra, right? Why is this unique approach that she took and not yelling and getting angry, but she just whispered and told me everything I needed to know about myself and put me in my place? Like, why is this feeling like this? With the King and Queen of Swords here, that stuff can be sexy to I like that. We know we like someone that has a good talk game. When the talk game is strong, sometimes that gets the job done. That's what got some of y'all in the relationship in the first place with this Libra energy, right? My first love, right? Some of y'all had a date and you couldn't stop talking to one another. You were on the phone every day. You know what I'm saying? So this with the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords here, be smart, okay? Tell the truth today. Please tell the truth. If you get confronted about a question regarding your relationships and certain decisions that you may have made in your past regarding the community, tell the truth. Be truthful, because today lies could get you publicly embarrassed. Right now with this Queen of Swords energy, she could confront you and ask you about that one time when you were at the club and all of y'all were together and you hinted at her friend and asked her for her number, but nothing ever came of it. But it's coming back up today with Mercury retrograde in Taurus, because she wants to question the value of the Libra relationship. So don't lie. Don't get publicly embarrassed when you say no when the answer was really yes, and the whole time she had Keisha on the phone on speaker behind her back talking about, no, because I have the receipt in my phone, I'll take a screenshot right now. We finished Virgo. She has the receipt already. It's Moon in Libra now. So just, keep that in mind, I would say. And that's all I have for Tuesday. Let's go ahead and get into Wednesday. So
not Keisha's on the phone. But I feel that this is a very heavy week when it comes to communication. And again, we'll get to that. I feel like we're both hinting at the same days later on in this week. So to move on to Wednesday, May 3rd, this is pretty interesting, where we have the Sun in Taurus in conjunct the Moon in Libra. And this is a relationship that always like piques my interest, because similarly with Aries and Scorpio being both sides of Mars and still being in conjunct one another, we see that with Taurus and Libra as well, where Taurus is the feminine side of Venus, Libra is the masculine side of Venus, but yet they're both in conjunct one another, meaning that there is something that deeply needs to be reconciled and understood. We have Taurus that is very preservationalist, conservational, conservative, stable, making incremental changes, versus Libra wants to initiate, and I'm gonna recruit you to help me with my cause as well. I'm gonna give you something to do. So when we're talking about aspects that involve the luminaries, right, aka the sun and the moon, just remember that the sun projects and the moon receives. So even though it's like kind of interesting, even though we have Taurus, which is the feminine side of Venus, it is in the masculine energy of the luminary, right? That is the sun. So the sun, in its feminine expression of Taurus, still has something to project, to send forward to the moon in Libra that, can internalize something and initiate relationships given this information. So we have a conflict to resolve between these two energies, because like I said, Libra wants to initiate group activities and Taurus wants to stabilize what's already there. So how can we honor both of these energies is the name of the game for the transit of today. So this could be as simple as, for example, slowing down the pace of new projects, or applying a new creative outlook on an existing project. This could be realizing that you have more support and resources this time around to actually create more impactfully. And there's something that either way needs our attention in regards to what we have versus what we want to create, to call in more harmony and more balance into our lives. And it's doing so, going about it in a way that obviously is Venusian, right? That is graceful, that is intentional. But most importantly, when we're dealing with Taurus energy, something that is sustainable. For Taurus, it's really important to get into a flow with discipline and consistency, where you're keeping a steady flow of momentum versus choppy, like being choppy and consistently starting and stopping because we haven't really found a structure or a system to support the pace that we really desire. So lastly, on this day, it could also come up that it's important for us to know our personal and financial inventory. I was going to say limitations at first, like our personal and financial limitations, but it's more so about the inventory of what we readily have access to in this moment, whether it be information, whether it be time, whether it be money. So when other people are asking you for help or support, what are you able to give? And if it's not time or money, what else and how much of it are you able to give? Because even a smile can be charity, right? A shoulder to cry on, cooking someone a meal, like an act of service and love and support. Like, you don't need to necessarily have a lot of time or a lot of money to still be to bring abundance into the lives of people that you have relationships with. But it's important for us to have personal accountability for our own energy supply and our financial supply. It's very critical during Taurus season. So it's important to consider that as we have opportunities that present themselves for us to give to the people that we're close to in our life that may have something that they need our support with. So that's what I have for Wednesday's transit. What does this in conjunction between the sun and moon look like to you, Empress, in the tarot?
I love what you said about taking personal accountability and doing personal inventory. I really love that. That really stuck out to me for today's energy. So for May 3rd, we have the sun in Taurus, quincunx or in conjunct the moon in Libra. And this in the tarot is the sun in the Hierophant and King of Pentacles energy, quincunx or in conjunct the High Priestess, Injustice, and the Queen of Swords. And some of us are just simply not valuing our commitments as much as we let on with today's forecast, and that is up for cosmic discussion with today's energy. And so with the sun focusing on and now radiating energy towards, right, because the sun in any sign is going to be projecting that energy outward, right? So now the sun is focusing on radiating and putting energy out towards the things that we value, towards that energy of value, and being able to maintain fixed nurturing energy and tending to our gardens right now in this fixed spring energy to build something on our abundant energy. And so this quincunx can be a real thorn in our side today because it brings up information that needs to be cleared up in relationships. Specifically with lovers, this could be also with friends, a mother energy I was picking up on for some of you with the High Priestess and the Queen of Swords here. We also have Justice. All of these are feminines here in my deck that I'm using. So this could also be something you need to clear up in terms of a relationship with a feminine, right? A divine feminine. Or perhaps the divine feminine needs to speak up on why she has not been feeling as creative, right? This could also be your divine feminine internally, right? Why have you not been feeling perhaps as creative as you want to feel right now? It's springtime. I should be, wanting to move on my plans. I should be wanting to nurture those seeds and feel that sense of value for myself and walk on, as Sol mentioned, my personal inventory. I should want to keep and maintain personal accountability for myself. Why am I not feeling that right now, right? On the inside. Maybe there's something that you need to speak up on that is maybe stifling your creativity, right? Maybe you haven't been feeling as loved as you would like to feel. Maybe you haven't been feeling as nurtured as you would like to feel on the inside with your divine feminine energy. And so allowing space for her to communicate that on a day-to-day is important. Maybe because there are still hurtful, painful words that someone told you that still play in your head for some of you with this Queen of Swords energy. Yes, the Queen of Swords is able to be loving and nurturing with her words while also being truthful, but the Queen of Swords also acknowledges any types of pain and hurt that you've been through, especially when it comes to communication within relationships that you have in your life. So there could be painful or hurtful words, thoughts, things that you just reminisce on, memories that keep playing in your mindset that someone told you or that you had with someone that keeps playing in your head and is not allowing you to focus on your creativity, to focus on being loving or being loved by others, by nurturing or being nurtured, right? Those things are blockages. And so let it go on a day like today, right? The scales of your life are in your hands with this Justice card. Like as soon as I got that download, I was looking at this Justice card and then I was like, she's holding the scale, right? Just like us in our own lives, the scales of our life are in our hands. We have that free will, not anyone else. So stop giving your divine power away, right? And restore the balance instead so that harmony can begin to thrive in your life. This is a very luxurious season. This is a season where your affirmations should be very steady, very consistent, and very strong, right? As I was watching this, I believe it was the Taurus season video from the Peace Dealer on YouTube, and like these affirmations I've been saying every single day that he told us to say. And I also said I've been saying Imani's, the Hood Healer, like that snippet that she put on her story. Like I've been saying those every day, but saying those to yourself to restore that balance and harmony so that you can thrive in your life. Everything works in my favor. Everything in my life is perfect, right? I am in flow. I am in gratitude. I am abundant, right? I have a never-ending supply of ideas. Speaking those things into yourself, instilling that value is going to help restore that balance that you feel in your life. So definitely focusing on that for today. Let's go ahead and get into Thursday's energy. So that's all I have for Wednesday.
What I loved most about what you shared was when you said that we might need more nurturing or support, and like that made me smile because it's like I know that we sometimes could give tough love as earth signs that are listening to two earth dominant people, but I do think that we talk a lot about too the individual accountability or just self-reflection that is necessary for us to identify, you know what, I need more love, I need more nurturing. Like it's okay to sit with yourself, reflect, and realize what I need is more support. What I need is something external, despite knowing that yes, I can provide everything for myself, to myself, by myself. I understand that we're capable individuals, but that's exhausting. That's the accountability of our personal resources, even if that's energy. That's a lot of energy to think that we are solely and exclusively responsible for our holistic wellness at all times. So it's like, that's where we do the work of accountability of like, I need to sit with myself and my spirit and sit down and come to the realization and to the honest conclusion that, hey, maybe I could use some more support. So then we come up with the strategy. Okay, that means reaching out more. That means saying no more. That means asking for what I want to receive. Like, whatever that needs to be, the dynamic solution could be we need something more from the people around us. But we do that, we encourage the personal work that it takes to get to that, to arrive to that conclusion. So to continue with Thursday, May 4th, again, very social week. So this is Venus in Gemini squaring Neptune in Pisces. And keep in mind that this is one of the last transits that Venus will be making while it's still in Gemini, as Venus will shift into Cancer by the end of the week. So for anyone listening as well, if you have a natal Venus in Gemini, that means that you're experiencing what we call a Venus return, which could be a very auspicious time for wealth building, for relationships, and things like that. So just keep that in mind, that if you have a natal Venus in Gemini, that this cycle will be closing up the week ahead as Venus shifts into Cancer, which is also a note for all of you natal Venus and Cancer folks to start looking like, what house is it in? Do I have any other planets there? Any planets opposing it, squaring it, to get clear on what your Venus return, if you have Venus in Cancer, will mean for you. So that being said, today's energy is conceptually similar to Tuesday's energy, which is what we were talking about with the trine between Pluto and Aquarius and the moon in Libra, in the sense that we're evaluating the wealth and currency found in our relationships and associations. And I mean that not in the transactional sense of relationships, but more so a willingness and an ability to reciprocate when it comes to the relationships that you're actively engaged with. So more so trying to say, what is the energetic give and take? How are these relationships fortifying us to move about large scale change making and carrying out our purpose in a way that is fulfilling? Because that's the thing that's a little woo-woo about our purpose. We're always walking in our purpose. Us just being here is an embodiment of our purpose. It's not something that we need to seek, what we need to find, something that's outside of ourselves. A lot of times what it is that we're seeking is a manifestation of that purpose that is personally fulfilling for us. That's what we're seeking. We're seeking fulfillment and wholeness and completion in what we're choosing to express our purpose through. So just keep that in mind. So are our relationships nurturing or supporting or empower that search for a fulfillment sought purpose? Do our relationships and even our associations inspire or disillusion us? Do they give us good advice, or do they encourage us to self-sabotage and avoid the work? This could just be through their embodiment as well. They might say one thing, but ultimately, are they acting in a way that shows accountability, that promotes an accountable space for you to thrive in as well? Are these people always in crisis, or are they present in helping you see dynamic solutions to your problems? The timeline that's already begun and will continue to unfold in regards to air energy, right? We have Pluto in Aquarius, the South Node in Libra. Sooner or later, we're going to have Uranus and Gemini as well. There's a lot of heavy air transits right now. It's showing us that our relationships and our network are absolutely critical for our well-being and transformation throughout the next few years, because we're going to have air energy in addition to a lot of Aries energy as well, especially like Neptune in Aries, the North Node in Aries coming later this year. Saturn in Aries, like a lot of heavy hitters in either Aries or in air signs, which means how are our relationships supporting, empowering, and hopefully fortifying our ability to really grow and develop and initiate new ways of being as an individual. So All of these changes that are happening in air energy, it's what is that showing us, right? Having all of this air energy in the collective, it's showing us that this net worth is important to our transformation. So how can we cultivate relationships, right? Those take time, those take intention, those take effort. But so then where is that effort going to go? Who is that going to go to? So that we're able to outpour and overflow into each other, and not all trying to drink from a dried up well, right? Like Empress was saying for Monday, there's no dried up creativity. It's like, are we in environments and in networks that support the mutual expression of creativity? And so lastly too, for this day, as a ritual day, this is a really great day for things like chanting, for bibliomancy, for working with your hands, right? Building a somatic relationship with the tools you're using, whether it's a crystal, hold it in your hand, rub it on your body. If it's a candle, hold it, breathe into it, speak into it, right? And then also using candle magic for protection and for clarity. Those would be really great, especially with this Neptune and Pisces energy, to tools to utilize on this day if you're considering doing some ritual work. So that's what I have for Thursday's energy.
I love that. And it really made me think about the fact that within relationship dynamics specifically, if you're not to your ultimate goal alone, how can you expect others to be to their ultimate goal, or how can you have unrealistic timelines for your relationship to be perfect or to have met certain milestones if you would consider yourself to still be working on yourself, and then whoever else you're in a relationship with is supposedly matching your energy. So I love that perspective that what you just said gave to me in that sense. So thank you so much for that. And as we're getting into this energy of Thursday in the tarot, on Thursday, May 4th, we have Venus in Gemini squaring Neptune in Pisces. And in the tarot, this is the 9 of Swords squaring the 8 of Cups energy. And today's forecast is looking cosmically cloudy. Okay, as we're coming to the end of the week here, we have this square, and the 9 of Swords energy today can really bring about that mental anxiety, any self-fulfilling prophecies specifically. Very major emphasis on self-fulfilling prophecies that come about from us repeatedly thinking, repetitively thinking about the same thing. Mercury is in retrograde in Taurus, kicking my butt right now. But that is what we have the tendency to do with today, is have those self-fulfilling prophecies come through. And this whole thing is about minding our vibration. Let's remember, the whole reason we're going through all of this, the whole reason we're having all these transits right now, one of the major themes is specifically about us being able to mind our vibration. Remember, I've been mentioning emotional awareness. We've been talking about emotional maturity, right? And so why? Some of us might be like, but why? Why are we having to mind our vibration and focus on emotional awareness and emotional maturity? Because we are coming into a time, in my own opinion, where what we think and feel is going to become a lot more blatant, right? It's going to be a lot more blatant in terms of the cause to our reality, what we think and what we feel. And it will get to a time where we'll instantly be able to manifest the higher and lower vibrations that we attract with our energy based on how we're feeling, how we're thinking. So today we're getting a glimpse of that in a leveled up way with this energy, with this transit specifically. I don't know about you guys, but I've really been practicing manifesting, and specifically with smaller daily manifestations. They've been coming about a lot quicker with less effort. Sometimes without even realizing it until after the delivery of the manifestation. Like, you'll be in bed thinking like, oh, I'd love to have pizza for lunch today. And then all of a sudden at midday at 12:30, you get someone rings the doorbell and there's a pizza man there delivering some cold, an extra pizza to you that was for your neighbor, but they asked you, they asked it to be sent to you. Like, things like that could be happening that just literally show you that, wow, you can manifest these things. These things are happening a lot quicker and without as much effort. So with this square, some of us are not happy with decisions that we've made to potentially walk away from decisions because we made the decision while we were in an anxious or stressed state, right? Sometimes when we're anxious, when we're stressed about something, it's not the best time for us to make ultimatums or make final decisions about things, right? Because we're not feeling fulfilled in one moment, and then we end up saying something in that moment of feeling stressed or anxious. We have to remember the things we say that other people hear us say, we can't take those things back. And so I feel like on a day like today, some of us are having to sit with those decisions that we've made to potentially walk away from decisions based on being anxious or stressed in a certain state, and we were unable to think clearly. And now you can't take back what you said. And now that person or you has already walked away, and you're realizing that you walked away from something that actually had value. In Taurus season, with Mercury retrograde in the background in Taurus, you're reminiscing about, wow, I was super stressed. Why did I have to say that to this person at this time? Why did I have to blurt out? Or why did I allow my stress to make me react or to pack up and leave without really trying to fulfill the situation and see my manifestation through, right? So it didn't just look like it because it was a manifest. It didn't look like it was something that you wanted to stay in at the time because it was a manifestation that was still processing, and you impatiently walked away from it at 80%. And now you realize if you were more patient, you would be at the 10 of Cups right now instead of the 8 of Cups with this person, with this situation, right? This could be a lover, a friend, a family member. Some of us today are realizing we're not able to contact someone that walked away from us, or we walked away from them today. And not being able to contact someone after an important realization that involves them can sometimes be stressful. It can sometimes cause sleepless nights with this 9 of Swords, right? Take what resonates. For some of us, the best we can do is learn the lesson that the situation is teaching us and work on our emotional awareness and maturity moving forward so that we can attract a match. And for others, if you walked away from a situation where a person may have been dealing with multiple people, right? Because we also have with Venus and Gemini, like that flirty energy that people may have been giving out to others that they find beautiful, that they find attractive, right? If you were potentially caught up in situations like that in the past where you were dealing with someone that was dealing with multiple people, or you were that person that was dealing with multiple people, and it caused you in stressed or anxious, situations to move away from people that were actually of value in your past, right? And now you're Mercury retrograde, thinking about them again, wanting to revisit the situation, wanting to rekindle things, have reconnect, right? I feel like that person may reach out to you, or you may reach out to a person, and when you do, the emotional reaction to them reaching out could indicate that you still have feelings for them, which could also upset you and make you cry behind closed doors when you're alone in private, because this person has a hold on you, and it's toxic with this Pisces energy as well that we have here with Neptune. It could get to that kind of toxic level and realizing I can't stop thinking about this person. 9 of Swords. I'm annoyed, I'm pissed off that I can't release myself, 8 of Cups, and walk away fully from the situation because I know that I left value on the table, right? Take what resonates for you, but this is coming up, okay? It could be for a specific person, but it came up, so I'm saying it, right? I'm getting rehab for some people as well in the collective. Some people that have a hard time releasing addictions to substances that they started doing socially, and now it's something that you do in your private time, increasing your addiction, because now on top of doing it socially, you're doing it in private. And some of you realize it has a hold on you, and you want to be able to cut the addiction. Some of you don't like that you're addicted, that you think about, that you excessively stress about, or do things that cause anxiety for you if you don't do it, right? This is a mental health day for us as a collective. Do something for your mental health today. Journal, talk to someone, talk to yourself, but let it out somehow. with today's energy. Look in the mirror with Venus and Gemini in the last degrees before it goes into Cancer, literally by the end of this week. Look in the mirror and talk to yourself today, right? Today is also a day to call out the things that you actually appreciate and love about yourself. Don't focus and get squared up with all the things that you want to fight about yourself. Don't square up with all the things that you hate and want to fight about other people. Talk about the things, combat that square by talking about things that you love about yourself. So set some powerful self-love affirmations today, having Thursday's forecast this week in mind. What are some powerful affirmations I can write on my mirror, or put a note on a sticky note and stick it on my mirror while I'm brushing my teeth or while I'm getting ready for the day? What can I speak into myself, or what affirmations can I write in my journal, right, for today, in my AstroTea journal for today's transit? So reflect on those things. I know that was a lot. Hopefully, you guys were able to take what resonated and what didn't, but I felt guided to say it all. But let's go ahead and get into Friday. So
no, that was great for Thursday, and I feel like that's like a great example of the benefits of being able to go back, because you gave a lot of suggestions about like activities or things to do, or the affirmations, or focusing on like positive or affirming like mental programs for that day. So definitely thank you for the like solutions, to the energy that is otherwise kind of intense and challenging. So for Friday, May 5th, it's not only Cinco de Mayo, but we have the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So this will be happening at 14 degrees, which is a Cancer degree. This is the second decan of Taurus and Scorpio. So here we're dealing with the Mercurial or Virgo decan of Taurus, and we're dealing with the Piscean or Neptunian or even a little Jupiterian energy when it comes to the moon in Scorpio. So the moon is going to be in the 7th house of the sun. And as we talked about, the benefits of being able to incorporate like indigenous names and history for the full moons each month, I really appreciated that like conversation we had like a month ago. So I looked it up. For the full moon in May, it's known as the flower moon because flowers spring forth in abundance during this month, which I think abundance is such a fitting word and term for not only Taurus season, but the fact that we have the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio, the fact that it's a full moon in Scorpio. It really is about spiritual and, a little material abundance as well. So it's also known as the budding moon, the egg-laying moon, the leaf budding moon, the planting moon, the milk moon, and the mother's moon. So those are attributed to the Algonquian people who kind of brought up the reasoning for why it's called most popularly the flower moon. So this full moon, it's going to signify the celebration and creative expression. And by creative expression, I just mean energy that has otherwise either been pent up or utilized or kind of in a potential state to really manifest powerfully, because not only are we dealing with a full moon, but it's also an eclipse. So this is very intense energy as we are shifting into new lunar node signs in about a month at this point. So it is the culmination point to a portal that was open last year during the new moon solar eclipse in Taurus on April 30th 2022, which is actually a month from today. So when I was thinking about this, I was like, wow, this is really powerful that we have the opportunity to talk about it not only a few days in advance to give us time to really marinate and soak into this energy, but also as a point that is like exactly 1 year from when this chapter kind of began. Even though it's not a linear cycle, we're moving into like a larger sphere or cyclical kind of movement of what was initiated during this time last year. But it's powerful to think about, like, where were you? If you have journal entries, photos, videos on your phone, where were you during April 30th, and kind of try to reorient yourself to like, what has changed, how have you grown, how have you changed? And with this full moon happening at a Cancer degree, right? 14 degrees. It's important to find that time to reflect, to think about the past, to think about your feelings and emotions about those changes that have happened in the last year in regards to the theme of what is mine and what belongs to others, what we have and what we desire to have, what we have and what we can never possess or control, but we try to, what we've gained and what we've lost, where we've held tight and where we've let go, where we've planted our heels in the motherfucking sand like a Taurus, and then when we've surrendered to transformation, right? What I was thinking about is transformation is really in essence about changing form, which is everything that earthy Taurus is about. It's like, okay, what is the form? What is the function? Does it provide any sort of stability or building block for me to have other things on top of it? So it's important for us to give ourselves the opportunity to see these changes as something that is now expressed through a new form and not something that is necessarily gone forever, right? I was thinking about this, especially since we're talking about Scorpio, like death and transitions. Like that person is not gone. They've transformed. They've taken on a new form, and you can actually now experience the benefits of relating to this loved one in a spiritual, non-tangible reality. You know, it is something to definitely get used to, right? Get accustomed to, develop a new communication system. But then, you know, your loved one is not gone. They've just transformed, right, into a new form that then the way you relate to them needs to change form as well. So it's an important time for us to be able to lay hyperfixations and obsessions to rest, to give ourselves the room to be present, to form new connections, to experience love rather than try to tame it, to be free from feelings of inadequacy and insecurity, which are inevitable emotions, but at least giving ourselves the opportunity for them to not have the same power and fear over us as they have in the past. It's really a time for us to let go of the patterns and programs that keep us from predicting how to control situations. So it's a great lesson, especially for of course fixed signs, but also earth signs, right, forming a trine to this Taurus sun, and then also for water signs forming a trine to this moon in Scorpio. So fixed energy around 14 degrees, water energy, any Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces placements around 14 degrees, or any earth placements, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus placements around 14 degrees. Like this is going to be that much more significant. So that's what I have for the full moon in Scorpio.
So beautiful, and this is such a powerful day. We all had the lunar eclipse that happened in Aries, the solar eclipse that happened in Aries on the 20th, and now we have the lunar eclipse happening in Taurus season. It's just going to be such a powerful day. So for Friday, May 5th, when we have this full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, it's also Cinco de Mayo, and we have the sun in Taurus opposing the moon in Scorpio. In the tarot, this is the sun in the Hierophant and King of Pentacles energy opposing the Seven of Cups. And so this is really about being able to commit to the options that will bear fruit for us, and that will help us to build valuable principles that will support us for the rest of this astrological year and for the rest of our lives, really, right? That fixed commitment that will sustain us for our life, for a lifetime, right? That capacity with the power of this eclipse that we're going to be experiencing, this lunar eclipse. So really getting clear on what does abundance mean to you in the midst of all these options with the Seven of Cups, right? Everyone has different ideas of value. Some people value money more, some people value nature more, some people value nice things or emotions. What do you value, and what does abundance really mean to you with this King of Pentacles? What does that Imagine that you're sitting on a throne like the King of Pentacles, and you have some tangible physical object in your hand that represents something that you value. What is that for you? Getting clear on that, to really bring that in, as we spoke about earlier on in the week with our affirmations this month, really building up that energy, having that fixed energy towards the things we value to be able to allow them to manifest in this physical reality. Taurus is an off sign. right? So this solar eclipse is powered by the energy of Taurus. There is this lunar eclipse. I keep saying solar. I'm so sorry. This lunar eclipse is powered by the energy of Taurus. So there's a power up that we're being rewarded, right? There's a reward that we're getting through what? Through our fixed efforts. Because Taurus and Scorpio are both fixed signs. And this lunar eclipse is also known as a full moon, which is when the energy is going to be apparent, right? When all of the energy comes to the surface. And so there are rewards that are being had, but it's only coming through our fixed efforts and our habits and our emotional awareness. So those of us in the collective that have really taken this astrological year seriously in terms of being in alignment with the energy, starting off Aries season with planting our seeds, continuing now in Taurus season by tending to that garden, focusing on our value, this lunar eclipse in Scorpio is really going to help to reward us for being able to Seven of Cups make a decision. Right? Really coming into that breakthrough period. Definitely look out for the email. If you are not already subscribed to the email list, definitely join the email list with the link here at the top of the room today, or click the description box if you're on YouTube to go ahead and access our email list and go ahead and join to look forward to that, because we also include things like the tarot card associated with, we'll also include the tarot or the chakra, the body parts, will include activities, journal prompts, all of that good stuff. So definitely sign up for that. But this is a really powerful lunar eclipse that's going to cause transformation and reward in the things that we are showing commitment to, being fixed in our efforts towards. So think about that. If it's things that you wouldn't want to see expanded and grow on a larger scale, then definitely think about that. Because as Sol mentioned, this is a flower moon, right? Where things are going to start to rapidly grow. This is a time when that happens. So whatever you're tending to in your garden, that's what's going to rapidly be growing at the time of this lunar eclipse. So make sure that with the Seven of Cups, the things that you're pouring water into, the things that you're pouring your energy and time into, are things that you actually want to see grow. Don't be pouring your energy into weeds and then wonder why your garden doesn't have any fruit when it comes to Virgo season. So really great, powerful lunar eclipse. That's all I'll say for now. Let's go ahead and get into Saturday, Sol.
Yes, so as we move into the weekend, we're still in this energy of the full moon lunar eclipse. It's going to set the scene for about the next 6 months. They're very powerful lunation cycles. So we'll see, even though it is already for sure a major culminating point from last year's new moon in Taurus, we also will see kind of a reemergence of these themes come Scorpio season when we're experiencing it on the flip. So Saturday, we're kind of winding down with the eclipse. The moon is now in the later degrees of Scorpios at 26 degrees Scorpio. It's going to be trine Neptune in Pisces. So for me, two words that came up were revenge and reputation, especially because, first of all, the moon is uncomfortable. It's fallen in Scorpio. Scorpio is a very remember when we talk about it, it's like a swamp where you think, oh, okay, it's nice, still water, no movement, oh, they're calm, they're chill, but there's so much going on beneath the surface that is not expressed, that cannot be seen because of the layers of that murkiness, right? So the moon in Scorpio feels very deeply, but it's all beneath that surface, so it has trouble with some of that emotional openness, right? And so having that be in the 7th house of the sun, and Neptune in Pisces being in the 11th house, which is our supporters, our fans, our kind of social reputation or positioning and things like that. So remember that with full moons, especially eclipses, they're a time of exposure and revelation. So I was really seeing the image of someone who may have a positive reputation, or they are generally regarded as, oh, okay, they're a healer, they're an empath, they're a morally upstanding person, but on a one-to-one basis in their personal relationships, personal interactions, they've indicated or displayed, whether they know it or not, their hunger for power, for control, for manipulation, for subjugation of other people. And of course, with the moon in Scorpio, they're going to go to great lengths to keep their true motivations concealed. So as energy can always play out as either extreme or the gray in the middle, this could be someone who either gets exposed within a larger group for their manipulation and disillusion tactics, or someone that is so good at the cover up, at the gift of gab. Remember that Venus is also in the background here in Gemini, which is being able to have a gift for talking your way out of situations. It's like, even if they get exposed, they are so good at like manipulating their image to where it seems like, oh wow, like they didn't lose any social grace or social favor, even though some really sus information was just revealed about their quote unquote morally upstanding character. So when it comes to days like this, because Neptune and Pisces can kind of bring that like fog, sometimes a little bit of cloudiness, it's either, again, depends what your extreme you're on. It could either bring clarity if you're willing to kind of go through that fog, like, where does this lead? Where does this go? Or otherwise, it can kind of blur certain things. So it's very important for us to trust our intuition when we feel like someone is intentionally trying to control the masses' perception of them, just to keep like a neutral mindset when we're dealing with heavy water energy such as this, especially when it comes to celebrities and public figures, because y'all, we don't know these people, that was what you were talking about for Monday's transit, Empress, about like the occult side to certain celebrities or well-known people kind of coming out during Pluto and Aquarius going retrograde. But it's like everything about these people is intentionally glamorized and handpicked to show in a particular way. So it's critical for us to really call our power back from giving it to people that are wrapped up in smoke and mirrors, because celebrity worship is really dead. Like, we're going to start, like, that's something that we can choose to tap out of at any moment that we decide. But collectively, we're also going to start seeing a shift from this like hyper idolization of celebrities and things like that, or idols, whoever we make our idol in our heart, in our mind, in our spirit. So that's what I have for Saturday's energy. Overall, just keep in mind about people's true intentions and what they display their intentions to be, and like, are there any degrees of separation between what you feel is versus what they're saying is. So what's your take on Saturday, Empress?
Yes, I was definitely getting that too, in terms of putting the value into ourselves. And for Saturday's transit on May 6th, we have the moon in Scorpio trining Neptune in Pisces. And this in the tarot is the 7 of Cups trining the 8 of Cups energy. And what I was really feeling is that when we decide what we emotionally want to invest in with this 7 of Cups, and we move on to the 8 of Cups, right? We literally take that next step with ourselves. We automatically end up leaving other options on the table, right? That always has to happen. There has to be some type of sacrifice or death that happens, right? With the Scorpio energy, when we choose to move on to something, or even sometimes we don't choose it, right? Death is something that happens as a part of the cycle of life. And so when we automatically invest our emotions into something through that power of choice and free will that we have, we end up leaving other people behind. We end up leaving habits behind. We end up leaving physical objects behind in some cases, right? And so today is really a day to pull in your resources and realize how far you have come, and how all of those experiences have contributed to how powerful you are in the present day. And so giving yourself more credit for that. I love what you mentioned, Soul, in terms of your specific example about the praise and worship that happens in society when it comes to public figures and people that are in the entertainment industry, celebrities, right? People that play sports, athletes. So I really love that example, because that's literally the energy of today, is pulling back, or getting an understanding, especially after the lunar eclipse in Scorpio yesterday, of what we value emotionally and what we pour into. What do we pour our time and energy into? What do we tend to see that growth or that abundance take place? And so realizing, as long as I pour into myself, I'm the most powerful thing that exists in my physical reality, in my reality in general. And so if I pour into myself, as long as I'm emotionally investing in me, as long as all those other options that I'm leaving on the table are so that I can put more of my value into myself, right? From this lunar eclipse that we had yesterday, that's the most powerful thing I can do. Walking in that, knowing that is it's literally a level up. You are telling this whole month you've been telling yourself, or this whole Taurus season, you've been doing the affirmations, as I said, right? Everything in my life is working out. Everything in my life is perfect. Everything works in my favor. And then it's like this lunar eclipse in Scorpio, it's like a level up in your power to where now when you're saying it, boom, the day after with this trine we have with the 7 and 8 of cups, you're saying everything in my life is perfect. Boom, all the people that you've been pouring into emotionally that are not meant for you fall by the wayside. Something happens where you are now able to pour more into yourself, who is the most powerful person in your reality, to help promote that abundance that you want to see, to help tend to your garden, right? Pulling power away from idolizing people in society and pouring it back into yourself, watching less Netflix, watching less Real Housewives, watching less TV, right? Going out less and interacting with others. Seeing that time with yourself as valuable and spending more time doing that to build your own power at this time with this trine that we're having here. Emotionally, having a deeper level of emotional understanding of your power on a day like today after the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So really taking that time, I would even say if some of you are feeling led, make today a really great self-care day, right? I love for Fridays, Venus days to be self-care days, but let yours leak over to Saturday for this week, right? With this trine that we have to really pamper yourself and work with water. So program water today. I just got that. Program water today when you're drinking it, when you're interacting in the shower, in the bath, wherever. But really powerful day to emotionally reinvest in yourself and be able to leave behind those other options on the table with 7 and 8 of cups here. So I'll leave it there for Saturday's energy. Let's close out the week with Sunday. So
yeah, and one thing that you mentioned that made me think about to just quickly say is that with Scorpio energy, sometimes with Scorpios we see like drastic on-off switches because they're fixed in their water, so it's either on or off. They go through cycles of complete detox after like indulging in certain things. So between that and the Neptunian energy of kind of taking some alone time, being in solitude, being in contemplation and isolation, whether that's deliberate or, you know, you kind of feel like you've been exiled, it is taking some time to maybe go through a detox, you know, in some sort of isolation to really be able to tap into the clarity that water does bring. So especially as we're talking about Venus going into Cancer. So ending out the week with Sunday, May 7th, we have Venus shifting into Cancer. So now we have this water energy. We have we have the South Node in Scorpio, Neptune in Pisces, Venus in Cancer. So Venus is actually peregrine in Cancer, meaning that it doesn't have any any dignity. So it's not like super comfortable, it's not uncomfortable, it's not exalted, it's not, you know, in detriment or fallen. It has no real association in Cancer. So it kind of gives room to play, to explore, to really like test the limits and possibilities, to see all of the full expressions of Venus within the energy of Cancer. So Venus in Gemini was about changing our social chameleon skins, right, to be able to talk to a wide variety of people, to seek knowledge and information, to ask questions, to really tap into that masculine air energy, to assert ourselves in communication and exchanges of value. Whereas now we are shifting into cardinal water, right? So it's that's what I love about the cardinal signs, like how especially Cancer and Capricorn, that they're really unique expressions of feminine energy, because this is a time of receiving and tapping into the feminine expression of Venus, but it's also a cardinal sign. So like, what are we initiating? What are we creating? What are we birthing out of this shift from Gemini into Cancer? So we are focused on emotional receptivity and how people say the grass is greener where you water it. So, okay, where have we watered in our life, right? Who are we watering with? What areas in our life is that grass green, full, and luscious? And how can we actually invite relationships that still our nervous system, rather than having us on this tumultuous emotional roller coaster with ups and downs and turns, and your heart is in the pit of your stomach. It's like, I think we're used to relationships that keep us very emotionally overstimulated, on edge, to the point where it's unbalanced, right? So during this time, love is fertile, love is nurturing, love is both defensive and protective. We're birthing new relationships and deeper levels of intimacy. People may be starting families or talking more about family planning or moving in together, right? Cancer is the domicile. So like, in Venus being here, it's like, okay, the partnership and the home, right? What does that look like? Themes about motherhood, pregnancy. I was getting something about a women's class action suit, whether it's like class action or a group of women coming together within the justice system to get justice for something pertaining to an issue or a cause that affects women primarily. I was seeing different products for women and mothers, whether that's skincare, vitamins, also resources and support for women's issues. I was also getting like a group of affluent women being like a parent, or let's say like Forbes does an article about like, oh, the world's wealthiest women, who are they, what do they do, kind of seeing more of the normalization of very successful, right, financially successful, philanthropically successful women. And also seeing diverse representation of women in art, whether that's music, photography, film, movies, things like that. And then lastly, repairing relationships with mothers, whether that's our biological mother, our kin mothers, or the women in our lives as well, really like sisterhood, nieces and aunts, like exploring more about the relationships with our mothers and the women in our lives and in our families. So we'll talk more about what Venus ends up doing in Cancer as it aspects particular planets on different days, but that was just kind of like what I was seeing as a general overview for this transit that will end on June 5th. That's when we have Venus shifting into Leo, and remember that this year one of the major transits is actually Venus retrograde in Leo. It's going to be retrograde for a little hot minute, so I think taking in the peacefulness and the investment into one's home and grounding oneself that Venus in Cancer provides is really important for us at this time. So Empress, you can close us out with what your take on for the tarot is with Venus going into Cancer.
You said so many important and wonderful things right there when it comes to us experiencing this Venus in Cancer energy. Everything from the motherhood aspect to like the products and just like initiating. I really love that. So closing out this week, Sunday, May 7th, we have Venus entering Cancer, and this in the tarot is the Empress entering the energy of the Chariot and the Queen of Cups. And so we've had this energy of Venus being in Gemini, which was represented in the tarot by the Nine of Swords, as you can see from Thursday's transit on May 4th. And with Venus in Gemini with this Nine of Swords, as I mentioned, this is that ability to possibly go around and round in circles in your head about certain things that aren't where you want them to be, perhaps visually, right? With Venusian energy, when it comes to how you feel luxurious or abundant or beautiful or loved by others, based on conversations that you may have had with this Gemini energy, ways that you have communicated with yourself and how you talk to yourself, and how others may have said things to you that still play on a repeat in your head that may bring you anxiety or stress, and potentially sleepless nights on the more severe side of things. We're still in that energy until next week's or this coming Sunday on the 7th. But now we're shifting from that Nine of Swords with Venus in Gemini into Venus in Cancer, which is the Empress entering the energy of the Chariot, that Queen of Cups energy. And so literally, as Sol mentioned, this is us now coming into that energy of being able to initiate our own abundance and creativity through those realizations we were able to have come up, through those types of communication, the awareness of our self-talk, the awareness of those people around us that don't really value us in relationships and how they communicate with us as much as we thought, right? And so being able to weed out and, like I said, move on from, let go of those types of emotional investments that we may have had in the past, specifically while Venus was in Gemini. And as we're closing out the week, this is again being fully aligned with intention. As I mentioned with Monday, Pluto's now retrograde in Aquarius by this point in Sunday. So being able to really walk into transformational truths when it comes to yourself, when it comes to who is in your life, who needs to be in your life, who you may need to walk away from in order to embrace this Empress energy, this creative, abundant, nurturing, loving, royal energy, right? In the direction of what? The Chariot. You going in the direction of victory, even if that means you have to leave everything behind in the dust. I'm going to move forward because I've seen the good, I've seen the bad. And now it's time for me to initiate what is me, right? Taking everything that you have learnt, taking all of the evidence of your emotional experiences and really going full on into that transformation and being determined to see yourself through to the other side with this Chariot card, right? Especially when it comes to unifying with spirit. This is definitely a spiritual upgrade season as well, with the Chariot card being the 7 in the major arcana. You definitely upgrading, Empress, your energy when it comes to your tie with spirit and seeing the results of that in your physical reality. Now that we're still in Taurus season while Venus is entering Cancer, the potential for you to see changes in your physical reality due to your ability to Chariot, move on and let go of, leave in the dust certain things for the sense of your victory, what you see as triumphant, what you want to initiate and get the ball rolling on. If someone doesn't understand certain things about where you're moving in your life at this time, I don't see you being that person that wants to talk about it and sit around the campfire. You had that opportunity with Venus and Gemini where you were open to having those conversations potentially, right? Or uncovering those things. We also need to talk about how Mercury is still retrograde at this point on May 7th on Sunday. Mercury is still going to be retrograde in Taurus for another week because we don't go direct, and then we still have to deal with that energy. Even though it goes direct, there's still that shadow period, right? So we still have Mercury retrograde in Taurus in the background while Venus is entering Cancer right now. That definitely is going to impact your ability to have those types of communications or just focus on your own self-value, reconnecting with your own self-value while you're now implementing these things through initiating actions that people are able to see. Even if you're not saying, oh, come with me, I'm going to go to the store to go re-up on this and this product for my house to set up my office in my home so that I can really take these YouTube videos seriously. You're not inviting anyone to those trips, right? But people see you saying, oh, I got to go run this and this errand. So you're becoming more busy and nurturing yourself and nurturing those seeds and eat. Like Venus in Cancer is like the Empress going into the garden and talking to each seed and being like, who's a good seed? Who's a beautiful seed? Aren't you going to grow for mommy? Who's going to grow for mommy so good, right? And so it's spending that quality nurturing time with all of the seeds that you're currently growing that you planted from Aries season and giving them that one-on-one love, right? Mothers have that ability to have relationships with all of their children that are unique, right? All of your children could love you, but you have they see you differently as a mother. You have a different intimate relationship with each one of them. You nurture them differently. They have different love languages. You tend to them in a different way. Same way for plants, right? When you go buy a plant for the first time, when you look at books, plants require different levels of attention. You have to water them differently. Sometimes you have to put them in sunlight. Sometimes you can't put them in sunlight. So they require different things from you. Venus in Cancer is representing that time of you figuring out how to best nurture yourself through initiating these actions, right? The routine, getting set into that, getting comfort from that, right? Setting up a home that you feel loved in, that you feel good in when it comes to your creative abilities and expressing yourself creatively. So we'll definitely get more into this energy as Venus is making other transits while Venus is in Cancer. So I'm excited to talk about that. But this ends out the week of transits. So let's go ahead and get into hand raising. I would love to hear you guys' feedback, your one takeaway for this week, anything that stuck out to you, any plans that you have for this lunar eclipse in Scorpio that's coming up. Do you have any specific rituals to bring in this Pluto retrograde and Aquarius energy, right? Anything that you are focusing on for Taurus season, any affirmations that you want to share, right? We've had this past week, and Soul touched on this as well earlier on before we really got into this week of transits, but it's really a time when we are really having to think through and talk through things. So be okay with talking about your value. Don't settle, right? Especially for my earth signs. Like, I'm a Virgo. I know for Nikki being a Capricorn, my sister's a Taurus. It's that theme. I feel a little bit more strongly for earth signs because we're being trined with Mercury being retrograde, right? And the sun is also in Taurus at this time. So it's that sense for us, even as a collective, just to really value ourselves and stand firm in that, right? Stand our ground with the earth energy. Stand your ground in your value. Don't let people try and convince you of a value that you don't identify with, right? And be willing to speak up for yourself in those senses to reinstill and remind people of your value as well. So I just want to go ahead and say thank you all for joining us for another episode of AstroTea. We really enjoyed your energy and look forward to seeing you next week, Sunday. So check out our link tree so that you can join the email list. You can also order your AstroTea products through the link tree and book a personal consultation with us. So join us over on Clubhouse and over on Instagram and over on YouTube to catch up with us between episodes and to get the convenience of timestamping over on YouTube specifically, in addition to the podcast while you're on the go or at the gym. And we love you. Have a terrific week.